Some elemental effects in Orcs Must Die 3 have really obvious effects. When orcs are on fire, they're taking damage over time. The way you can tell is that they are dancing and waving their arms in the air screaming. But what does it mean when they are glowing pink or green? Is there a specific attack you should use against them then? Or is something going to happen when the status effect ends? Let's break down all the status and elemental effects in the game. Check the timestamps for a specific effect you want explained. First up is fire. Killing things you don't like with fire is an ancient tradition, second only to bashing those things with sticks. As previously mentioned, fire damage is very straightforward and just does damage over time. In the mid to later parts of the campaign, we see a lot of enemies with fire immunity, making it less of a trump card against the orcs. But the fire fiends usually come from their own rifts rather than mixed in with the normal orcs, so you will still have some areas of the map where you can be confident fire will get the job done. Opposite fire is ice. Orcs are clearly native to warm climates and do not do well when frozen. When affected by ice, orcs are frozen in place, making ice traps a reliable source of crowd control. Frozen orcs also become brittle and are extra susceptible to physical damage, meaning you can cut through them like a saw blade through an ice sculpture. This has to be my favorite damage type because all the fire enemies are extra weak to it, and adding on the crowd control it offers makes it an excellent backbone for trap combos. I'll tack stone on to the end of ice here. The stone staff can turn enemies briefly into stone. This is exactly like frozen enemies. They take extra damage from physical sources and are stuck in place. It is a brilliant weapon. Hopefully we get an expansion pack where we'll see some traps use this effect as well. Ever notice that orcs with heavy armor take less damage? Well, what if I told you could damage the enemy's armor itself? In comes acid, which will corrode away orcs' protection and make them more susceptible to physical damage. The comparison to ice and stone has to be made. Inflicting vulnerability to physical damage is exactly the same. Ice stops enemies cold, while acid does not stop their movement. So it may seem that ice is strictly better in this comparison, but there are definitely situations where you want the orcs to continue to advance into your trap rooms, so there is a space for utilizing the acid geyser and the alchemist satchel, I suppose, but that weapon is hot garbage, so it hardly bears mentioning. The orcs' understanding of metalworking seems to extend only to highly conductive metals, and this takes us to lightning and electric damage. Heavily armored enemies are extra vulnerable to this damage type. Enemies are electrified when they jump and you see their skeleton. When they die, they explode, horrifically dealing damage to their friends in a small radius. The best trap for dealing lightning damage is the laser, but there are several other specialized options as well. Saving the most mysterious and arguably the best effect for last, we have Arcane. Orcs affected by magic take bonus damage from all sources. That's right, more vulnerable to everything. Arcane damage only comes from a few sources, but this status effect makes those traps exceptionally useful to empower any large trap combos you want to set up. That's probably more than you ever needed to know about orcs responding to elemental damage. The short version is making orcs turn different colors is good, but when you dig in, there are some specific ways you can combo your traps for more damage. Leave a comment if you think I missed anything important. Thanks for watching and have a good one.